So before I actually jump into the guitar bus processing, one really important tip I've mentioned, I made a whole video on it. If you haven't seen it, it's right up here. I'll double the guitars and put a layer of guitars that have no cab on it. It almost sounds like your first practice amp, like a Fender Bullet or something like that. It sounds terrible. This is what it does to the entire guitar track. It sounds extremely dull without it. So now let's go into the guitar processing section. And basically what I normally do is I have a fab filter before just cutting the problem frequency, and then I have an SSL channel just kind of like shaping the rest of the tone a bit more. So first off, I'm just going to dial in whatever I want to add to my guitars or take away. So I use my SSL channel. I really like this specific one because when you're moving the knobs and everything like that, it doesn't tell you what frequency you're at. So it really forces you to use your ears. Usually my first step with this is to remove the mids that are kind of blocking the bass guitar. I'm going to cut quite a significant amount, and then we'll bring it back in to a decent, not insane amount. You'll notice when I'm EQing stuff in general, I'll go from absolute low to absolute high, and then I'm listening to see where the frequencies that I like are, and then I'll do another round where I go from, say, like 10 to 5, which is where I'm hearing the biggest positive difference, and slowly just whittle back and forth until I narrow to what I like. So there I'm starting to notice it's like taking out a lot of cake out of the way. Sometimes we would like cake, but we often need some protein. So let's get rid of the cake and add some protein. No problems there. So basically between here and here is where I'm hearing. So I find that by removing this section, we're kind of adding more issues. And by removing this section, we're having the bass pop out a little bit more, but the issues and the cake is disappearing. So I'm going to keep it around there. So I'm going to see where I can add low end without it disrupting the bass. I know that my bass frequencies are probably living around like 200 hertz and down, and then the jangle is coming from like the higher mids. So let's just listen to what we can add. So I actually like it basically around here, but I know that my bass is living in here. It's going to disrupt my bass, and I'm hearing it swallow up my bass. So I'm going to find a similar frequency in the higher range that sounds like it's adding basically the same kind of tonality, but it's not disrupting my bass. A little too far. I really like it around there. I'm getting like the clarity of the note to pop out a bit more, and it's not adding mud. And now I'm just gonna dial it in and only give it a little bit of a boost because it's already quite thick. So now we're gonna add a little bit of presence in the high mids. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna boost it. We're gonna find where it sounds nice and isn't too disruptive, and then deal with the disruptiveness if we have to. So I'm probably going to go somewhere between 3 and 4.5. I like that a lot. It's adding the clarity, it's adding the presence, it's adding a little bit of problem frequencies. It's not adding cake, but a little bit of like hissiness that we'll deal with afterwards. That's where this fab filter is going to come in. So again, I only need a little bit of it because I already have quite a bit of presence and quite a bit of high end from my actual guitar's sims. And in this final step of the EQing, I learned this in a Will Putney Nail the Mix. He adds a little bit of sparkle in the high register, a shelf as well. And basically it's gonna add a little bit of like excitement and interest. If we boost too much, it becomes an issue. Right around there. It's just adding like that hairiness. Super nice. And then again, just a tiny bit amount. It's basically to a point where like you don't notice that you're adding anything, but as soon as you take it away, you're like, okay, we added something and it made a good impact. Even that tiny little amount, it's probably not even like a dB, so I'm good with that. Let's listen to before and after. Cool, so I just like narrowed the bandwidth of the mids. I didn't want to get rid of that much in the 1K-ish area. And that kind of just removes some of that cake, but it doesn't get rid of too much of my pick attack and whatnot. I'm liking that a lot. So in this next step, I'm basically just gonna remove those problem frequencies. For this, I'll solo it for a second, just to hear a little bit better what I'm doing. So my first step, I'm just gonna make a new EQ, and I'm gonna go super sharp with it so I can hear what I'm removing. And then instead of boosting it to hear what I'm removing, I'm gonna go and cut what I'm doing and basically just scoop around to see like where there's a point where I'm like, okay, that's actually doing something positive and I'm getting rid of a problem frequency. And that's where I'm hearing it remove. It almost sounds like air passing by. Removing that, I got a lot more clarity out of my guitars. It still has the presence, still has the pick attack, still has everything, but now it's not annoying. It's important to note that the first step in getting clarity in any of your guitar tones is to make sure that you record them properly. Amp sims make a difference. If you don't record them properly, it's not going to be clear no matter what. So if you're interested in learning that, check out this video right here. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. See ya.